Okay, everyone. It's a new day for me. Gonna get back into working on this. Um, some little updates that happened off camera. Um, I noticed the scale of the weapon was just a little too big. So I went ahead and I adjusted that. It was a quick adjustment and didn't deem it worth it to record it and talk over it. So, um, slightly smaller fits the Reforger magazine much better. And yeah, I think overall it just kind of looks a little bit more accurate. Before it seemed a little wacky, um, but that's all fixed. Today I'm going to focus on the armature creation, so creating a skeleton and rigging the model to that. Um, this guide is, again, it's very comprehensive. It does a good job, even if you have no clue what you're doing with Blender. It does a good job kind of showcasing all the steps. Um, so I would recommend, if you're new to Blender, really dig into this and follow it. Everything I'm going to be doing is the same that's done in this guide, um, and I'll try my best to explain as I'm going along. Uh, but yeah, one thing I wanted to note, a lot of people seem to bypass it. There's a little note here in creating the skeleton to keep the bone orientation along the Y plus axis. Um, it's not super important. Um, it seems like it would just kind of affect some of the actions that get applied to the weapon. You know, you don't want to accidentally have uh, your actions facing the wrong way or upside down or something odd like that. So this is something that a lot of people overlook and potentially run into those issues. I don't know. I've always done it the way the guide has said it, so I haven't had any issues with it. And I'm just gonna, going forward, that's what I'm gonna do here. Another thing I want to note, I'm going to be, this is Reforger's AK. I'm going to be doing my best to recreate this exact hierarchy with my weapon. Um, it's important to get the naming conventions right if you don't want to get bogged down in export profiles and animations down the line. Like, if you're not willing to jump into those things, and especially in my case where I'm just making a smaller AK, I'm going to use this same exact naming convention so that I can use the export profiles that came with the tools. Um, there will be some slight caveats for mine, like I will probably uh, create a bone for the stock because the AKS stock actually folds, and if I want that option going forward, then I'll create a stock bone. So that'll be the biggest difference. Um, so yeah, and then as always, another thing people run into, just make sure, again, when you create the armature, it's going to be massive. So always good to scale it down. Um, and a lot of people forget after they create the skeleton is to just apply the scale changes, because again, we want this at 1, because this not being at 1 is really going to mess up any animations we do to it. Just wanted to note really quick. I think I'm doing this differently than the guide. Again, there's plenty of Blender tutorial videos out there on how to set up armatures and rig, so you can also watch those. But what I just did there was I duplicated this bone. You gotta make sure you're in edit mode. I duplicated this bone, which was the root bone, and I made my bolt bone. But I want the bolt bone to be a child of the root, so I selected my bolt, then I shift selected my root and hit Control P, and that gave me the ability to parent that root bone to the bolt, and that's all I did there. Here, it's worth noting the the bones are going to rotate around the butt end, or the tail, I think they call it. So what I'm trying to do here, I'm keeping that Y orientation, but I'm trying to get this ball to fit right in where the safety, or in this case the fire mode, is what it's called, would rotate. Um, so the AK's fire mode is going to rotate along this bone, and or this pin, so that's exactly where I'm going to put my rotation portion if possible. Okay, so I've set up most of the bones so far, as you can see here, named along the same naming convention that these are using. Obviously I don't need a sight slider. My sights work completely differently. Um, I also noticed with this model that does not seem like the right rotation point, so I'm going to have to play around with the bone position here and try to get the right one with these sights. But um, in terms of that Y plus orientation, there's some examples where I don't follow that, and the stock would be one of them. So this pin, it is not oriented straight up and down. It is slightly cantered. Um, it would be a real pain in the neck for me to try and rotate this stock in while adjusting for the tilt in this pin if I keep the bone oriented in the Y plus rotation. So for this, I will have my bone oriented along the pin, and that's just for ease of me creating a stock folding animation down the line. Okay, so um, the armature is created. These are all the bones I'm going to go with. For now, I'm going to leave out the jiggle. Um, I don't even know if this is working in the current build of Arma. This would be, you want, when the gun's shooting, you want this to jiggle back and forth, I assume. But I don't even think that's working currently, but so I'm not going to worry about it with mine. Um, so the armature is created, and just like the guide is going to point out, I now need to create vertex groups amongst my mesh to coincide with these different bones. And I want to note, it's when doing this, pretty sure the guide covers it, but every vertex needs to be assigned to a bone. So I'm going to go through each one of these objects. I'm going to create vertex groups for each bone, and then after that I'm going to select all the vertex groups that I made, invert head selection, and that's going to be all the vertex, the vertices that are not associated with a bone, and then I'm going to map all of those to the root bone, because everything needs to have a bone. Okay, so I should have created all of the vertex groups, and now I should be able to go and parent this to my armature. I'm going to do armature deform with empty groups, and then hopefully when I switch to pose mode I can pose my weapon. There you go. So I've got the fire mode working, and oh, mag release, we forgot that one. Gotta find mag release. So again, I can always just kind of go back. I gotta find the object that mag release is part of. Receiver. Okay, and just have to select that mag release. That looks like it's all of it. Create a new group, W, mag, release. That's not good. Oh, it created the group from the bone. Duh. Alright. Select all that, assign it to that group. Now it should be there. So this was previously assigned to the root, and we don't want that. So I'm going to select my mag release, and I'm going to go to root and remove it from there. So now if I select root, that is not included. Okay, bring back the armature, pose, and aha, mag release works, trigger works. So it's good to just go through, test out your bones, make sure they work. This is what I was talking about with it being a little off kilter. You can see how that's not totally straight up. So stock folds, perfect. And what do my sights look like? Doesn't matter if that's local or global. I want to say I did a pretty good job with that. That first try. Yep, I did a pretty good job with that. I'm happy with that. Okay, so now that that's all done, again, we can kind of clean up Blender a bit by getting out of pose mode. And then, see, I almost broke my own rule. Got to apply the scale. Control A. I'll just do all transforms. Nothing drastic changed. We got ones and zeros. Looks good up there. Gonna sort objects again. We'll put skeleton into its own folder. And then I am going to export everything again. we'll see what it looks like. Okay, gotta make sure I select the correct settings. No leaf bones, don't bake any animations. Let's go back. Okay, so it imported everything as a memory point. Why the hell did it do that? It's because we need to select export skinning and do re-import again. That should have fixed it. There we go. So, not exactly what they have here, but it seems I just need to parent my memory points to the root bone. Let's go and try to do that. We'll just select all of my memory points and parent them to the armature. Let's try to export that. I don't think this is extremely important. I've left it outside of the armature, and I might do that if I can't get it to go here. But again, I said I was going to try and make it look as close to the one in game as possible, and so I'll at least give it an attempt. You guys can watch me fail. Why did only snap hand right go there? Okay, I shall do them all individually. Okay, let's do that again. I'm aware those memory points were moving as I set relations. There we go though. Looks very similar to what the AK has. And yes, my memory points moved when I did that, so I'm just going to go ahead and place them back where they were. Okay, corrected all the memory points. Gonna export that again so that they're back in their correct positions. There we go. That looks better. Alright, so next thing I'm gonna do is I think we're going to work on creating and setting up for the animations. So that'll be the next video.